what are your topics?
You just want to jump off?
No intro, no hello, no happy to be here. Just whip it out and move. It's Monday.
Let's be honest, no one's happy to be here.
I'm happy to be here. I'm so glad that you're here. So it's his house. Of course he's there. Why wouldn't he be there?
All right, Liz Warren.
Happy Indigenous Peoples Day to Liz Warren only. Before you give me the stink eye for dating this podcast in case we release it in about 3 months.
How dare you limit Indigenous peoples to one day?
I know.
How dare you?
It should be Indigenous Peoples Year.
Yes. At least.
I'm glad that Italians are finally, sobering up and getting their fat asses off the couch to re-celebrate Columbus Day. Because for being a lazy people with few accomplishments, other than anger and violence, it's good that they can get together and realize that, they have done some things right that aren't pizza.
Isn't pizza American?
Pizza Americans.
No, isn't pizza
It's an ethnic category.
The way we make pizza here is, yes, very American, but it did originate.
Oh, okay.
The idea originated in...
I just thought it was an American dish with Italian ingredients.
I'd love to know what the original pizza looked like.
I think they said it's
nothing like what we make here.
Oh.
Well, I think from what I understood in Napoli...
No, it looked exactly like Pizza Hut.
Exactly.
I think that it looked like it was a Little Caesars commercial, and they were $5 hot and ready. It was €5
Back in the good old days.
hot and ready.
Back in, 73 AD, back in the good old days of Little Caesars pizza.
He was just Caesar then. He's
was
only
just
gotten
Caesar.
smaller with time.
That's true. But
No.
the prices have gone higher.
Yeah. No, I think it was like a flatbread originally.
It's speaking of Little Caesars, since you brought that up, it's $8 now for a hot and ready.
What?
That pizza's not that good. Like it gets the job done, and I'll eat it. But like it's not. It's $5. Like yeah, that's fine.
It's the jerking off of pizzas. It gets the job done, but it's not that good.
You're exactly. It's worth $5.
Yes.
Worth $5.
It's not worth $8.
$8 is a see. In my mind, it's the same thing as Taco Bell. In my mind, most of the menu is still $1 or less.
Cheesy gordita crunch is $5.
Okay, no.
One taco
No.
is $5, and I
No.
love cheesy gordita crunches. But it's like I can get a meal at In-N-Out for that.
We went every day after school, and it would be really hard to spend more than $3 at Taco Bell when I was a kid. Like, you had to try.
Yeah. Now it's like you'll spend no less than $3 at Taco Bell.
That's weird.
And I remember where I'm from, next to the college. There was one Taco Bell near the university. Holy shit! There was always like late at night, like at midnight or 2 a.m.
Yeah.
There was a drive-through line like goes around the parking lot to Taco Bell, of all places.
Well, you go to McDonald's or Burger King. I went with my family, and this was before inflation got really bad. We were on vacation, and for the 5 of us, so my 2 nieces, my 2 parents, and me,
Right.
getting not big things like just a meal, and I think one of my nieces still got a kid's meal. My dad paid $50 at like Burger King.
The whole family.
Yeah, for 5 people.
So it was like roughly $10 a person.
Yeah.
The whole meal used to be $10
Yeah.
for a family.
Yeah.
Like, I remember going, the hardest thing to do is to spend more than $20 for 3 people as a kid for fast food. And the only way you could do this is if you go to El Pollo Loco and you basically get like 3 chickens worth of meat.
Yeah.
And 2 packs of tortillas and 2 full sides. I mean, enough to feed like a farm.
Yeah.
So fast food is no longer a convenience or inexpensive. What?
You remind me of a story when I was in college. Obviously, I grew up in Baton Rouge, went to high school and college at Baton Rouge. I went out to I think it was Wendy's, honestly. And there was this older black woman waiting for her food as I was trying to order. And she said something like, "I've been here for 10 minutes. What's fast about this food?"
What's fast about this food? It's not.
And I told her.
In-N-Out is the
Man.
only fast food chain I can think of that is still fast food and still like reasonably priced.
And it's good.
And
It's good quality.
Good,
Yeah.
good ingredients. And
I know
mean,
people in Texas or other inferior places are going to be like, oh, but Whataburger or something. Who wants a burger that they dip in water? That's sick. Who does that?
I've had Whataburger and I was not impressed.
I don't understand the point. Chick-fil-A is good. Raising Cane's is good.
Cane's.
In-N-Out's good. Those are my top like 3.
I will give them a Whataburger. The only thing that I've ever really, really enjoyed at Whataburger was the honey chicken biscuit for breakfast. So it's like it has honey butter slathered on a slab of fried chicken, and it's a real chicken breast. It's not like the patties.
Right.
And then on a biscuit. That was really good. Really bad for you, but really good.
Well, I mean, isn't it always?
It's funny. Like I can think in the last few years, I mean, there was a moment when I was eating out a lot, like fast food, but
Well, you were traveling and working.
I was not living the lifestyle I signed up for, but like since then I don't. If I eat out, it's like real food. Like I won't eat at junk food or fast food.
Yeah, we don't.
But that's the nice thing is we can't here.
Yeah,
There's
that's
no
true.
fast food restaurants within like a 5-mile radius
That's
of this
true.
house.
That's
Chipotle
true.
is Chipotle and there's one Subway. That's the closest thing you'll get to.
No
fast
one ever
food.
goes to that Subway. But the Chipotle is funny because I love that when they put it in, it was like a weird oddity or something. Like, oh, and they put an exotic new restaurant in the neighborhood, Chipotle. And everyone's like, ooh, and that's it. That's it. And the only people who shop at that Chipotle or who go to that Chipotle are the people who are working on houses around here.
Yeah.
because there's always a van with someone
Yes.
that walks out in like your work clothes.
They're literally Chipotle in our neighborhood is for the labor.
The labor.
It's for the hired help.
The labor and visiting grandkids. That's
Yeah.
what Chipotle's for. But there's there's like 4 actual good Mexican restaurants in walking distance.
Yeah.
Like there's El Cholo, the older one we have to try, and there's that great taco stand. So there's real legit Mexican restaurants. So what the fuck are you gonna do with Chipotle? Like,
I know. And I'm not against like Chipotle. If you get the bowl, like it's healthy. Like it's real. It's good.
It's
food.
fine.
It's fine, but it's just I don't know. The flavor for me isn't there.
Well, it's the
just
same
kinda bland.
thing. Well, because it's dumbed down. But when
Yeah.
I used to work in Santa Monica, that was the only place that had food that we could afford working there because we were right off of 3rd Street.
Yeah.
Because it's all stuff for tourists and expensive stuff for tourists. Like, if it wasn't that, we'd have to go get takeout at Bubba Gump's.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd ride my little Segway like a huge faggot down 3rd Street Promenade to Chipotle. And one time, the security guard who was also on a Segway was like, "You can't do that here." And I looked at him and I looked at his little device and I just kept going.
What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna? You're on a Segway too, asshole.
Mine's fast food.
Exactly.
So, I have 2 topics.
2.
Oh, that wasn't one of them.
No,
No, I just pulled that one out of my ass.
there's lots of stuff in there.
No, it's my purse.
I'd rather a Birkin, thank you. Anyway,
Yours is a Birkin, full of crap and always closed.
you're so stupid. Dolly Parton is an amazing American. So, like, for the past 20 years, she has this thing called Imagination Library. I think that's what it's called.
Uh-huh.
But she gives every child that's born in the state of Tennessee from the month they're born. Maybe she starts at year 1. I'm sorry. Anyway, for like 4 to 5 years of this kid's life, they get a book sent to them in the mail every month. For like 4
So
to 5
a dozen
years.
books a year. So
For every child born in the entire state.
So every child gets roughly 50 books. Because it's
Right.
12 times, what, say 448, maybe about 50.
And so
That's insane.
So, but not only is she helping the children, she's helping aspiring authors and illustrators, because she's not sending them like, Fisher Price or
Right.
big name books, which is cheaper for her, so smart, and it's letting other people who you would never have seen like in a bookstore or
So like if a mom came up with like a fun, cute children's bedtime story that she used to tell her kids, and she made it into a book and self-published, Dolly Parton will place,
Yeah.
Dolly Parton will place a giant order
yeah.
and send that out. That's so cool.
So it's good for her business-wise. It's good for the kid because they're getting a book, and it's good for the person who wrote and illustrated the books, because they're actually getting money they would not have seen.
Because I think that when she started, Tennessee had one of the lowest literacy rates in the country. No longer does. Can you imagine one person affects the literacy rate of an entire state?
She has the money to do so. She's like, what can I do with this money to, be good? And so now she announced today that she's doing it for California.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Because we
She
do,
is
I mean, we
opening
need it.
her Imagination Library to the state of California.
She saw which states have the lowest literacy rates.
Yeah, after
California.
Tennessee, I guess California's probably pretty low.
Probably.
So I applaud her tremendously.
Yeah. Well, literacy in this country is something that's on the decline. And I know people, oh, social media, smartphones, and everything like that, and that's fine. But if you look at school graduation rates, like it was some insane statistics, like 1 in 4 high school graduates don't know how to read. Like something where you're like, wait, what? Like when did this happen and how?
Yeah.
So,
But we are. What's the word? But we're making progress in other areas, though.
well, the literacy rate in Ukraine is great. I think,
Yeah,
I think it's higher.
Great. That's at least our money we're sitting there is going to good causes.
How soon are American kids going to start moving, or families going to be like, you know what, we're going to go someplace for a better life. We're moving to the Ukraine. They pay you to have kids.
I've been noticing they've been sending a lot of our tax dollars there. I'm just going to go where my money's going.
Might as well at this
May as
point.
well, right? Yeah, I know they have bombings here and there, but it's like
How's that worse than Detroit?
true. Can't even
Is
get
Kiev
on.
safer than Detroit is?
That's a good question.
I think the murder rate at some point was about on par. Because it was the unsafest city in Europe. Well,
Let's be clear
quotation
though.
marks,
Let's
Europe.
be clear though. If you're a black American, you cannot live in Ukraine.
that's true.
They are racist.
I love how the second that there was any sort of threat of war, like everyone's like, okay, we're trying to evacuate, and the black Americans or whatever black citizens of Ukraine all got pushed off the buses, and the sun was
Right.
like, fuck you, you're on your own. And it's like, wait a second, whoa.
Black Lives Matter only in America, but if they're in Ukraine, like fuck them.
Yeah.
But we'll send them billions of dollars still. Your champion for black rights, Joe Biden, he's doing great.
Well, and to bring it back, this Dolly Parton literacy thing, how many, Tennessee has a pretty significant African American population. What a blessing it is to have books sent into the home from the start, like in that community as well. So it's helping everybody, and everybody at an equal rate, whether you're white, black, anything, economically disadvantaged, you get a book.
Exactly.
God, I hate that phrase. Economically disadvantaged. Oh, you don't have economic advantages. Ugh. Such a sanitize.
Well,
The word's poor.
For our listeners who might have some extra money, I believe it's called Imagination Library, and they are a nonprofit. And so if you want to get a tax write-off and make a donation,
Yeah.
send them a check.
If you don't want a tax write-off, we were talking about this earlier. We were going to set up an Amazon wish list soon because there's some really cool microphones that do a better job. So if you're tired of hearing us with the laundry in the background, we will threaten you with a lower quality show until we can get the nicer microphones. No, they have these cool like DJI like lavalier mics or something, and then we don't have to plug in anything. I think everything's wireless, and then we can just shove a microphone up your ass, and there you go. Help him. Have you seen those? Just as a little aside, I know you have a second topic. Have you seen the ads on Instagram for those insane, like world-building adventure games? Like there's the Merge Mansion one with Kathy Bates, but there's one that's called Project Makeover. I don't know if you've gotten the ads for this one.
Those used to be on. I used to see some of them on Duolingo, and they stopped partnering with them because they got so ridiculous.
Well, and by the way, these companies are worth like $30-40 million. Like they make a lot of money on these stupid ass games. But there's one that's like Project Makeover, and it shows this girl, and she's with this guy, but then there's a more attractive girl that comes in, and she smells for some reason like there's a cloud of like green around her. And then they'll show her with her like shitty hair, and she stinks in her clothes, and the big thing on the bottom of the screen is help her. And so you have to click help her, and then it shows, okay, here's your options. You can do her makeup, you can do her hair, you can give her a bath, you can do this, change her clothes. And so it's like, okay, then this is autoplay on the screen.
Right. So
it clicks hair.
The ad always, the ad will do something like click hair, and the hair will just like frizz out or something like that.
Right, and they'll give you like a razor, and then you buzz it off because you're retarded. And then this girl's like, like she's crying, and you lose a heart for that.
And then you put her in clothes, and you like she ends up looking like Jill Biden in some kind of
Some clown-ass outfit.
sofa print.
And then they're gonna lose another heart for that.
And then the character goes back to her boyfriend. And the boyfriend's like, "What the fuck?" And then she starts crying and runs
And then
away.
she gets dumped.
And to bring this back around, that's why the literacy rates have dropped.
Because people are playing Project Makeover. Help her! Help her! But I love that's become a meme now on Twitter because people screenshotted that with her like bald in a dress crying with the stink cloud and it just says, help her! And then people will be like, me 3 hours into work, help her!
Just and you made this as an aside, but there was one game called like Lily's Garden or something, and I saw the ad, and usually I would just let them play and wasn't paying attention. I paid attention once, and the game I'm pretty sure is just like, oh, this woman's building a garden. Like she's putting vegetables here, she's putting flowers here, she's putting weed.
Bodies
over
here. Putting weed on it.
Yeah. But the made up story behind it is like, how did she get to this mansion and where she's building a garden? Oh, she got fired from her job because she was late. Like the whole story played out where her alarm didn't go off, and so she's getting up, running out of the house like with a toothbrush in her mouth, and like falls and tries to start her car. The car doesn't work, so she gets on a bike. She rides to work. The boss is like, "You're fired." She packs up her shit, and this is like 10 seconds worth of
Oh my God,
This is
and she packs her stuff in a box. She walks back to her house, only to see her house in flames. And like her husband in the car like fucking the maid or something.
What the?
Well, yeah. Anyway,
Oh God.
and then it's like, oh, she bought a new house. Now help her make this house.
this
I'm
is
like,
better world building than the Lord of the Rings new series.
Oh my God. Yes.
what is this story that these people have made to make you buy?
Well, like the Merge Mansion one, it was this grandma, and then her granddaughter was going to get married, but then the grandma killed the guy that she was going to marry and buried her on the mansion, but then gifted the granddaughter the mansion so they wouldn't suspect her. But then she gets arrested, and then she goes to bail her grandmother out. And so they basically...
She like passes her a message or something.
Right, she passed her a message like, like, I didn't do it or something like that. Like, you have to find out who did it. And so then they had ads, I think it was around the Super Bowl this year, and they had Kathy Bates play the grandmother in like a Super
So
Bowl
these
ad.
kids have money.
They make
Yes.
$30-40 million to pay for Kathy Bates. Like that's A-list talent.
Yeah.
Like she won't just show up for anything. She will never be caught doing a Depends ad like Lisa Rinna. She's not gonna endorse Activia like Jamie Lee's curtains. But that's an impressive buy.
And these games are about to become more lucrative because I don't know if you heard, but in California they just legalized gambling on your phone, on your mobile device. You can.
Did they do that, or are they going to do that?
I think it's being pushed through. I don't know the status of it,
Well,
but I heard that's like a big news thing.
But speaking of Indigenous Peoples Day, that's why there's been so many ads on TV for Indian tribes, because some Indian tribes are for it because I think that they're invested in these online gaming things. But a lot of them, including Morongo and like the really big wealthy ones, are against it because they think that it's going to take away from their gambling revenue. Like, I don't know. That's just suspicious to me because who's going to be like, I could take a nice 2-day weekend or 3-day weekend to Morongo Casino and Spa with my wife, but I could do video poker, so fuck that. Like,
No, you're right, but they're not worried about those people. They know those people will still come and have like a vacation.
Right.
They're worried about the
addicts.
Yeah, the people addicted to gambling who are going to be like, oh, I don't actually have to go somewhere. I'll just do it on my phone.
Well, what about also kids? What about young kids gambling who have their get their parents' credit card or whatever and start playing games? Because I can speak from experience from like in my own family. My brother, he played a lot of games. He didn't gamble, but he played like these like Magic card games and Pokemon stuff, and he was obsessed with it. And it was it worried
that's
my
how
mom.
his brain works.
Yeah, it worried my mom because he was that's all he would think about. And That's
Right.
all he would do, and she like was afraid of him playing. She would not. He was not allowed to play poker. Like my mom was like,
I was smart.
we were worried about it, but he's fine. He's an adult. He has self-control, but You know, when you're that young though, you just never know, and you don't want to risk your kid.
He clicked the
doing
box that said, "I'm over the age of 18." It's fine.
It's fine.
When I was when I was a kid, the thing that we would, not me, I never did this, but the thing that people would get in trouble with spending their parents' money on was those 900 numbers, like calling Miss Cleo or something like that. And,
What the fuck?
Calling Miss Clito or something, and you're like, what are you wearing? One of the best Mad TV skits is the Miss Swan version of the phone sex line. And a guy calls and she's giving the most obtuse answers possible. He's like, "What are you wearing?" She's like, "What are you wearing?" And so you're going back and forth.
Oh god.
anyway, second topic before we go too long.
I'm wearing Adidas shorts from 2005 that have most of the seams ripped out because I've been wearing these shorts for 17 years. I'm also wearing a tank top from Ross. I got it from the clearance bin. It's a size 2XL, but it's shrunk significantly over time, so it looks really unflattering when I sit down.
Hot.
I started wearing these clothes yesterday.
Wow.
I'm cutting all of that.
No, keep
Yes,
that.
no.
Hey, you want these Amazon microphones or not?
Someone, never mind.
Have you ever bagged up your underwear and sold it to someone?
Let Mitch get to his topic.
No. That's his topic.
I refuse to answer that question.
Oh!
I plead the fifth. Anyway, second topic, which I will be writing about soon.
Oh, good.
Apparently, the Biden administration, I don't know if they actively put this out or if it's just something that someone didn't know was already on the books. But according to paperwork, a law, the writing on the wall, if you will, people who were, I'm going to say this nicely, people who were born male, and even if they transitioned to female, must register for selective service.
They're drafting trannies.
Yeah. No, literally. So, number one, Phyllis Schlafly is just rolling in her grave with laughter. Like, this is what she, semi-predicted with the ERA.
Right.
But secondly, so are they kind of acknowledging that biological males have a physical advantage and that's why they want them in selective service? But then they're not acknowledging that when it comes to women's sports and
I
college?
think that they're trying to do it specifically because they don't want anyone draft dodging specifically out of transition. They don't want that to be an excuse. The way in Vietnam, there used to be the thing of I looked at a dick once, and they're like, okay, we don't need you. Move it along.
Right. You're probably exactly right. However, this is not going to bode well in the woke community.
Well, no, it'll look like shit. Although I think that we should have an exclusively
'Cause it
trans
looks-
fighting force at this point.
It looks extremely hypocritical.
I don't know why we have the selective service to begin with. The whole concept of that being you have to register when you're 18, or we'll come fucking find you, and scaring high school students with that is the dumbest idea ever. I think they should disband that entire process, that entire thing.
Let him do that. Let the Democrats do that.
No. I think it's great that they're doing it for the trans thing, but I think that just the concept of it in general is so retarded. It's you have to. That was the thing. It's you have to sign up for it if you get federal loans, so student loans or something like that, and it's against the law if you don't sign up for it. But most people don't go out of their way to sign up for it. And it doesn't make any. I don't know anybody who went out of their way to be I'm going to sign up for the selective service. But they used to scare the shit out of people. If you don't come find you, the military is going to come find you, and then they're going to make you, and then they're going to arrest you. And it's well, then who the fuck wants to fight with that kind of group?
Can you hand me my wallet for a second?
What are you going to show us your true gender?
I think I have it in here.
You signed up for the selective service.
They made me. I had to.
Did you give you a card?
Yeah. Registration acknowledgement, selective service number.
Oh my god, you still have it. I don't remember doing that. My dad was in the Navy.
Oh, now I know your social security number. Why do you have this in your wallet?
I don't know.
What are you going to be picked up at Bloomingdale's? I could feel like I feel like this is ripe for like a funny caper comedy. Like we're in the Bloomingdale's like perfume aisle and like the makeup, and they come around. They're like we have to draft you, and then you like have to put on a bunch of makeup really quickly to like pretend to be a woman, and they're like, nope, we're drafting trannies too, and then they drag you out half foundation with your lipstick crooked to go fight in Ukraine.
Well, no, but that's the thing is they won't draft us anymore. So even if you were in the selective
Why?
service, we're over the age.
What's the age cut?
25.
Oh, good. Okay, well then fuck you. At 25, I was not capable of fighting for anything.
So selective service is between 18 and 25.
I was completely useless during that period of time.
That's why they want to draft those people, because they're useless. They're just bags of meat.
Well, then what's the point? I mean, don't we have robot weapons now? Like, why do we need people to do this?
Someone's gotta sit at the drone remote control center.
Curtis.
They're too stupid, though.
Yeah. There's not many left.
Well, they said they
This
keep
is
having to
why.
lower the military fitness requirements or something. Like, I think they took out sit-ups and pull-ups.
We're close to having the weakest military force. It's all about who has the best technology these days. It's really not about power and numbers. It's about power and toys. So, at least that's how I view it, and I could be completely wrong. But
I think we should be okay. This is our new deal. If something happens, we're allowed to draft Ukrainians first
yes.
from Ukraine because they basically, I mean, they have our weapons.
To fight their own war in their own country, yes.
Or
I
to
think
fight
that's-
us. If we go to war with Mexico, there's going to be a bunch of Ukrainians on the front. Like,
Oh, I love
bring
that
the
idea.
Azov battalion in. I don't care.
Hey, you haven't paid NATO in like decades. We're drafting you for our war because you haven't.
That's a good
Paid
idea.
into it.
Okay, then I'm okay with this arrangement as long as we have a mercenary fighting
We'll have the
force
most
in Ukraine.
loyal fighting service.
Can you imagine? We have our border patrol is comprised of former Ukrainian fighters, and you have that, and then you have like Guatemalans running across.
You have people
It really is
speaking
the
Portuguese and Spanish to Ukrainians and Russians.
Yes.
and it's just a mess. I mean,
mean,
it can't be worse than it is now.
I was gonna say, how could it be worse? Like,
exactly
It's the Tower of Babel all over again.
right.
and it's in Yuma.
Oh God.
So yeah, Biden's drafting trannies for war. And
Good.
So final topic, really quickly. Another shitting on Biden administration.
Yes.
Can we call it a Biden administration if he doesn't know where he is? Is it the Harris administration?
No, because he is he is still the figurehead, even if he's not doing anything.
Lolling around on a stick at this point.
Yeah. So
The Benny Hill administration.
one of the articles that came out today for Outspoken Middle East.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah,
They're-
they're calling him Ayatollah Biden because he's making deals with the mullahs and he's supporting basically the Ayatollah in Iran, who is currently
Weird
trying-
endorsement, but okay.
No, he's endorsing the Islamic State, which is currently trying to not even trying to killing their own people
Yeah.
for protesting
Well-
the death of this woman.
Yeah. They're executing.
I don't want to say her name because I don't know if I'll pronounce it right.
Yeah.
And the poor woman died because she wasn't wearing a headscarf in public. Like, she got beaten by the police and died.
So it's funny. One of our friends commented on me because we had a protest here in Irvine about that. Woman for freedom, free women in Iran, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm supportive of it. I mean, I don't think we should pour resources into that because it's not our fight. But at the same time, when you have our president, our administration supporting the
Right,
Ayatollah, that is
he is giving resources
He's
to
giving
it, yeah.
resources to the party that's executing women for not wearing their headscarves. Then yes, now it is our fight because our fucking president is doing this. So yay!
See, the reason it's like the Ukraine and Russia thing. Armenians and Jews come together yet again because
Yeah.
those people hate us
Yeah.
on all sides, whether they're moderate or not. They support the weapons that kill our people still. So we're like, all right, let them fight.
Just let them. Let the problem
They're
take care of
on their own.
It just is fascinating to me how there's not more out. I'm curious when the outrage from the left towards Biden is going to become more obvious.
When
It's
white
getting-
women feel unsafe.
It's getting there though.
That's
getting there.
I think that's basically what the Democratic Party functions on at this point is how do white women feel? Are they uncomfortable with the concept of racism now because they saw something on TV about police brutality and so now they want to go and do a BLM protest because of it? Or are they feeling like this Russia thing is scary to them and so they decide that they're going to do something? Or gender becomes a very fashionable thing.
Well, also, it's like you can only is this, I don't know if I'm using this word correctly, so you can only capitulate off someone's anger so long until it retaliates and turns against you. Is that the correct use of that word?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't use that word often. I was like, that sounds right.
Well, no, capitalize, I guess. would be
Capitalize.
the-
I thought about that word too, but it seemed too on the nose.
This is why I want to bring up a specific person, but you guys don't know who I'm talking about because you haven't gotten that far yet. As the listeners know, we've mentioned before we watch Real Housewives of Orange County. There is a season coming up, which is during the whole BLM protests and after George Floyd, and one of the housewives who is no longer on the show. Her name's Bronwyn. She is that white woman that you're talking about. She is that woman who is like, oh, I think I'm going to be edgy now, and I'm going to pretend to be bisexual. Oh, I'm going to go fight, police brutality because I saw a clip of it on the news, and so I'm going to, go with my child, force my child to go to a BLM protest, and like, and then Kelly Dodd, who's like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Why are you doing this? She's like, you're racist.
I can't wait to see that part.
It's a shit show. But Bronwyn is this elusive white woman stereotypical white woman that you're talking about.
It's basically policy driven by the people in the Hamptons and Cape Cod and wealthy liberal coastal enclaves.
Which is why
it's Martha's Vineyard policy.
Which is why it was genius for them to send migrants to Martha's Vineyard.
You don't
Right.
see Real Housewives of Silicon Valley or Real Housewives of San Luis Obispo or
Well, they
Real
don't know
Housewives of Oakland. Like,
they don't know how to dress in Silicon Valley.
Well, but I'm just saying, like,
People
the
in
women
Silicon Valley don't have
in
wives.
San Francisco and stuff, the women there aren't interesting.
it's just a bunch of anime pillows.
Exactly. Like, it's fascinating when you think about it because LA, Orange County, Phoenix is not. But just like these communities down here have women that are fun and interesting and like.
And some of them are
charismatic.
business women. Some of them are attorneys. Some
Yeah.
of them have jobs. Some of them have done jobs.
But you
some
don't
of them
hear
real estate agents.
I mean, maybe it needs one. Maybe there are, but it's like San Francisco. It's like it's probably too sterile of a culture to like
Yeah.
really.
Same thing with Hamptons and Cape Cod. I remember someone saying something like, she walked into a restaurant and said, these women don't know how to dress. And it's true. You have a bunch of women wearing like fisherman's waders in a nice restaurant in linen and just looking like frumpy and shitty. I mean, have you seen the Kennedy women? My God. Like, it's just a bunch of wrinkles, alcohol, and just some and some crappy fabric to tie
I
it
know
all together.
we've diverted here, but it's worth pointing out something that you just brought up. At one point, because I'm a Real Housewives fanatic. At one point, when at the height of the Real Housewives franchise, they were talking, and it was semi rumors, but it was pretty serious rumors that they had in the works. Real Housewives of Hartford, Connecticut. Real Housewives of Scottsdale.
That would have done well.
Tons, like another 6 shows. And I think Bravo pulled the plug because they were like, we have like 5 or 6 now. If we don't want to like put all this money in producing these and have them go nowhere because people are saturated with, we don't want to oversaturate the market with these shows.
Well, I think they found the regional
they
markets
stopped
too. Yeah.
And so they've only kept them to the few that they have, and they've just started to test the waters again because for the first time in years they put out Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. That was the new one, and it blew up, and it's so popular they might start dropping other franchises soon.
Well, I told you guys about they were supposed to do when Real Housewives had Orange County, and I think it had New York and New Jersey before they were going to do the big expansion plan into other cities, and maybe Dallas was on at that point too, in Miami. they were like, we want to do a realistic series because we're being criticized for being so over the top. We're still in a recession. This is the last recession.
Yeah.
We want to have a more middle of the road. So the same production company or whatever one they outsourced to do the production went to, of all fucking places, Fresno to cast. And so they went to the mall and they had a casting call for like a more realistic Real Housewives in Fresno, which would have been the funniest fucking thing ever. It never happened. But
You're so more middle class.
Right,
Housewives
they
rather
want-
than like upper.
well, that was the thing. They said we want a more, because that was how it started in Orange County.
Right.
Was yes, they were in a wealthy neighborhood, but they're a lot more. They started off pretty normal, and then things started to kind of take off into another direction.
Well, Tamara
to
was
be-
getting like Rolex watches for birthday.
Well, yeah, no, but to be quite honest, yeah, but she was like season 3. So like the first 2 seasons,
Yeah.
those were the Real Housewives of Orange County. Their net worth is much less than any other franchise.
Oh,
you know,
really?
the New
Right.
York, the New Jersey,
Oh,
maybe
okay.
not New Jersey,
New Jersey, but New York definitely.
New York,
Beverly Hills
Atlanta,
definitely.
Beverly Hills. All of those women have so much more money compared
Yeah,
to the
I believe
OC
it.
women.
Yeah.
Well, also like when OC started, I imagine Orange County's it's the coast here is a nice area and expensive. But like Ladera Ranch back in 05 or 06, probably adjusted for inflation, still not as valuable as a place to live as it is today.
It was like middle to upper middle class.
Like my parents, if they wanted to move here to like Mission Viejo or Rancho Santa Margarita, they probably could have. Like,
Right.
They probably could have found a house then.
Well, and that was a lot of people used to live in LA who were like, oh, I'm just going to go to a more family area. I have kids now, that kind of
Now it's the opposite. Orange County is expensive as hell.
And the last thing I'll say about this to tie it up, Andy Cohen is he thinks that he like made this franchise and this these series of shows what they are. No, someone in the background, and I forget his full name. It was Scott something. One of the producers.
Oh, yeah.
He was the one who made the decision because they had the Real Housewives of Orange County. It was semi-popular. It wasn't overly popular.
Right.
And they had already filmed a show that they were going to call Moms in Manhattan.
Oh.
And that's what the Real Housewives of New York was. So they were filming this show, and then this Scott guy, one of the producers, was like, let's just make it a spin-off. Let's make it the Real Housewives of New York City. And he said that like kind of offhand apparently, and someone said, one of the big wigs at Bravo said, okay, do it. We'll rebrand it. We haven't spent that much money. And that one decision has led to an empire.
Yeah, that was like a $1 billion decision.
Right, has given Andy Cohen a lot of money, and he thinks his shit doesn't stink. He's not the one who, he owes.
He doesn't have.
those
He's not
people-
the idea man.
No, he owes those people so much.
I think I know whose name you're talking about. Scott Dunlop.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's Dunlop Productions.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah, that would have been, Bravo at the time needed a new series because they had My Life on the D-List, which was, one of the best shows ever made. And they had Flipping Out, Working Out, Sweating Out, the cutting. So they had like the haircut.
But they had the
woman,
competition
Tabitha. They had the competition shows, and then they had the Flipping Out with Jeff Lewis, the real estate thing, and then that became a couple of other out brands. And so it was like, okay, what can we do to create a new franchise or a new series on that level? Because they were throwing anything at the wall to see what sticks. The one season of the Paula Abdul reality show still is one of the most batshit things ever put on the tape.
And by the way, you made fun of it. You laughed. That book that I have in there, the Real Housewives Get Personal, it gives you all the history of all of this.
Oh,
so
really?
you can flip through
Is
it.
Vicky in the book?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, the other person who claimed, I know you want to wrap up soon because we're reaching 1,200 measures, but the, is that 1,200? Is that what? Okay. The person who claims a lot of credit for the Real Housewives starting is Gina.
Oh.
And she said, Vicky wouldn't have been on the show if I said I didn't want to include my neighbor and all this other stuff. And Vicky was like, I didn't really know you then. We'd hung out 2 or 3 times. I didn't know that you wanted to include me. But Gina was like, I met with Scott and I had him come into my home and I said that we would. So she's she's retroactively claimed a lot of credit for all the Real Housewives existing.
So she's constantly trying to keep on the show.
Gina wants on the show again.
Oh,
And I don't think that they'll. I think that I love how they.
She's become unrecognizable.
Well, yeah, I mean, at
physically.
this point, but I think it's funny how she appears every couple seasons, or it was like every season she would appear once as like a ghost, and then the clip of her getting the drink thrown in her face, bitch, is like I think Tamara has in her contract that she has to play that every single season at least twice in a flashback, which is great because I don't think Gina gets paid for that. She gets an $11 residual check in the mail. And then she injects it right in her forehead.
yeah. It is. You can see the money.
Yeah. Oh, Gina Keogh, the one
She's
and
getting
only.
stretch marks on her face from all the Botox. I'm barely kidding. Like,
No, it's
bad.
it's pretty bad. And it's sad because she was a beautiful woman.
Or
Playboy model.
She looks like a chipmunk soaring up for winter in her cheeks.
Her and Madonna are on par. In fact, they should just switch places. at
No
this
one would
point.
notice.
No one would notice. Madonna's most challenging role yet
Anyway,
to sing. Anyway,
we're going to go to the gym, so
Yes, we are.
have a great day and go fuck yourselves.
Go fuck yourself.